I'm Susan Grow, a counselor and author. My experience was horrible. Some boys wanted to play with me when I was younger, but they told I had to bring them popsicles first. They asked me to climb into the garage freezer for popsicles. I entered the freezer thinking it had popsicles, but it was unplugged. They closed the freezer door, garage door, and ran home after I told them there were no popsicles, trapping me inside. Screaming for aid was the first thing I remember. Our house was isolated from the garage, making communication difficult. Later, my mother stated she heard a cat, not a child, so she didn't investigate. I spent a long time there. From the bottom of a flight of stairs, I saw 3 lights. They grabbed me and told me to stop shouting. At first, I was too scared to listen, but they said they would show me and get my mommy. When I reached the steps, I knew the building had something. It looked like a columned Greco-Roman chamber. Inside, I saw a hole and wondered how to climb the stairs. I was at the edge of this magnificent well, which I called the well. I gazed down into it and saw movement, like turning DNA, but I was too young to understand. I heard everyone in our world praying. Please help me, my daughter's sick. Please make her well. My husband's in the hospital. I'd really want that new car. I asked the 3 angels where I was. I was told I was in Heart's Desire's room. I inquired if they answered all the requests, and they said, "No, Susie. Sometimes what people desire the most isn't good for them." My mom always said, "Just because you want it doesn't mean it's good for you." So I was upset. Crystals floated and dazzling lights flashed. I was suddenly on a route. I spotted the yellow brick road ahead and called it that since I had seen The Wizard of Oz, and I was 4.5 years old. People put things in pyramids and pulled papers from the bottom. I saw the pyramid wobble. This seemed to embody their life journey and their efforts to pave it. Before I knew it, they were on their knees, pleading, "Please help me, for the love of God, help me." I saw angels remove these pavers. Putting them back at the bottom of the pyramid balanced their existence. They went up, removed them, and repaved the path. I mused, "What are you doing?" and was told, "We are paving the path. We are the pavers, you are not. All you have to do is walk it." I mused, "How do you know if you're walking it right?" They said, "We bless and block everything. If we block something, you can either push through it, get battered and bruised, or you can shift. If you shift and see a block again, shift again. Keep shifting, and eventually, you'll see us paving your path. We know what's best for you. You think you know what's best for you, but knowing and thinking are very different." I didn't comprehend everything, but I knew they were giving me vital information. My flashback took me to the room of knowledge. Virtual literature existed in that room, but not when I was a girl. Virtual books were flying forward. I observed people choose their paths. In the room of knowledge, they chose their next steps and what to do when they incarnated on Earth. Not understanding everything, I listened closely. People said, "I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I can handle it." Angels said, "I think that's too much, honey. I think you're trying to do too much." I call it the PhD of life. Some desired the PhD, a challenging trick to learn from, but some took on too much. They did it nonetheless, despite the angels' warnings. You have free will. This is your final decision, but we don't encourage it. It's too much. I couldn't find these folks or what I thought were humans. I saw their reincarnation. Though I didn't know the word, I knew they were gone. They traveled, I was told. I then observed animals playing in the room of companions. They were cheerful and young, like puppies, maybe a year old. I saw that many had aged backwards. Soul dogs, cats, and animals. I witnessed the crossing people and their beautiful animals interact beautifully. They saw them again. More is to the story, but it would take hours to explain. A huge crystal pyramid with shifting faces was my last sight. I failed to reach in. He told me I wouldn't return if I survived. I realized then that those people had crossed over and would never return, unlike me. Next, I flashed onto a lush field with flowers. I was sitting among daisy-like yellow flowers when I observed animals rushing through the field. I saw a mountain-like beam of light from the side when I was tiny. I wanted to reach that light, but couldn't ascend the incline. My experience of unconditional love was incredible. Such a magnificent experience cannot be described. The light resembled our Creator. I aged to reach it. I flashed right to see cobblestones and another magnificent angel light. The angel told me to leave. I wanted to float like them, but couldn't. Although I felt like I was walking, I was probably floating. Angels led me to water and explained that water brings us back. Later, I realized it's like being in our mother's womb, surrounded by fluid. As I walked along the embankment, they asked whether I was ready, stressing that I would have a rough and unpleasant journey but help people. I wanted my mommy yet didn't want to go. I was ordered to get in the water and checked for readiness. No, I said. Just being unprepared, I didn't know how I felt. My love was indescribable. I was dropped into the water last. I was in the freezer when my mother heard someone exclaim, "Your baby's in the freezer." She heard it twice and then a third time, like a shout. Knowing what was occurring, she ran out and saved me, whirling me in relief. Was passionate. No color, no cell phones. She released me go and raced for a phone. I fell, cut my chin, breathed, and she sent me to my room. Waking up and gazing around is next. Spirits were everywhere, under my bed, in the corner, along the corridor. Everywhere. I placed blankets over my head and said, "Go away, go away, go away." I thought they were the boogeyman. I was a child and didn't understand, but they persisted. That was my path. My lifelong visitors have never stopped. Sometimes they still wake me up with, "I just died, and my name's so-and-so, and you're going to find out." Then I'd learn that person died and have knowledge. I didn't know what to do with the information. I only knew I was receiving it. I'd get the call saying so-and-so's brother/sister's best friend died. I'd think, oh, they didn't die on purpose. They said it was an accident. Then I'd find out what happened/what the message was. My mother, sister, and brother had this skill, though not as profoundly as I did. Because of it, my mother was hospitalized for 2 weeks. She told me, "Don't talk about it. There's nothing here." She was scared. So I didn't discuss it much. I once told my pals their grandma wanted to play. They believed I was nasty because their grandma died. Actually, I meant it. I answered, "No, she wants to play." They refused. As a little child, I used to go to the living room, which my family dubbed the eerie room because I played with them when they came. Yeah, I'd play Beatles, Home, and Susie Homemaker. They were my buddies. Then I'd realize they're not corporeal and be afraid. I recall their retreat. My family always nicknamed it the spooky room because I talked to things they didn't see or think were there. To aid grievers, I became a grief and addiction therapist, so it was my region. After earning my divinity PhD, I deal with near-death children. Helping people has always been my passion. I've always wanted to help others heal with afterlife knowledge. Since I teach metaphysics, it's just a discourse. Tell my pupils, you make it so difficult, and it's just a conversation. It's trusting what's coming in. The sloth, butterfly, and hummingbird story explains why everyone doesn't see them. Sloths move slowly but have high frequency and low vibration. We be the sloth, and mourning lowers our vibration. Like a butterfly, the medium gains some information but not all and vibrates higher, closer to the hummingbird, which is them. The heartbroken sloth turns to observe the hummingbird after it's gone 60 places, missing most of it. I see more because I'd vibrate closer to that level. I definitely did. I remember one thing about being 3 years old before this. I remember seeing cats and other animals floating when they died because we had land. I assumed that was usual. Not thinking, just being. It was typical for me to presume you were wet if we walked out in the rain. I thought everyone saw that. Without knowing any different, I knew I had the skill at birth. I know it heightened, made it more sophisticated, and I could relate to it even though I was terrified. I knew they were spirits, but didn't know why. That confused me. When I returned from the NDE, it was everywhere and powerful. I wanted to shake it, but it was everywhere. I kept saying, go away, but they wouldn't leave. As part of my journey, I call it my unusually normal life since it was typical for me. It may appear abnormal to others, that we are loved and never need fear, no matter what we do here. Karmic and dharmic events happen, yet our soul is never destroyed. Our heart, head, and spirit, the breath of life, can be injured. However, our soul heals us, and the beauty of that is that without it, we would have nowhere to turn. Our soul is protected so we can help ourselves. We can always know the right thing, and our soul informs us every day. We don't always listen because our intellect, emotions, or spirit interfere. Knowing that my soul will always be love helps me love myself, which was my greatest takeaway. It's the hardest. I believe we come to love. You know the phrase, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. Not buying. I believe we are born loving. Most of us are kind and generous, but loving oneself is hard. Knowing your soul is always love and not injured lets us go into that wonderful essence of love and place it back on ourselves to heal and be beautiful. I think we reincarnate. I don't think we can learn and do everything in one lifetime. Our life is so quick and full of lessons that I can't fathom anyone thinking it's possible. I believe we incarnate. I witnessed families make decisions in the Akashic Records room. I call it the Room of Wisdom since that's what they termed it when I was there. Family decisions like, I'm going to go back early, and then you're going to be and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to show up now, I witnessed. They made all these decisions, thus I believe we reincarnate. I doubt it's a revolving door. Such a thought is cruel. Without talking to, seeing, hearing, or sensing my family, I would leave here. Could their higher selves survive? Yes, but I think we'll plan together. My mother and 2 brothers committed suicide. I'm highly involved with suicide, and many people come to me for help because their children, spouses, wives, moms, fathers, brothers, and sisters have committed suicide and are suffering. I can help them because I healed myself as best I could. I still weep and it's hard, but I know I'm safe and protected, and I'd be horrified if they came back without me and I couldn't talk to them. I struggle with it. I believe evil is in man's head, not the spirit realm, and they feel anguish over what happens here, but they can't interfere with free choice. We must request assistance. They'd violate free will if they interfered. The spirit world can't stop evil, negativity, hurt, or battle because some men have it. Must be worked through. It breaks my heart. Like most of us, I hate seeing people hurt. Some don't because they think it's necessary or don't know any other way. As I see it, I sense low vibration. A very faint vibration. People forced to combat have no choice. They're meant to fight, but they don't have a choice, and don't comprehend it until they're there. Unless they desire to hurt others, they'll be shocked and hurt. They return in pain after seeing so much evil that our minds shouldn't see. I can't imagine joining the group. I know I've helped returnees. People in Afghanistan and other war zones call me while in service to chat to me. They say, I can't unsee what I saw, and I have to do things I don't want to do, and I don't know what to do, and we discuss. I know there are decent individuals there. Not all warfighters are bad, but I think the high-up authorities that start and maintain these conflicts have something wrong. I do. I can't think of another reason they'd violate another soul. I wish everyone loved each other, but our way of life makes that unlikely. They should know they are cherished. I apologize for coughing. It went through the microphone, so you may have to cut it. I'm sorry. I want children to know they are loved and that the spirit world will always support them if they ask. Remember, they can't interfere with our free will, therefore we must ask for help, and they'll do their best. Our choices matter. Our choices count. Make excellent decisions, do good deeds, and do the right things to like yourself. Self-love, the greatest love, is our soul path. Everything we do, having kids, getting married, growing up, going to school, is our life path. Our soul path is self-love and enlightenment. That's at the heart of every soul path, and we want to make good choices to love ourselves. When we love ourselves, we don't look down on others. Life is about soul expansion, love, and wisdom. Things must be experienced to broaden your soul. We come here to expand our souls. I believe that if we understood it, we would understand why we endure hardships because we don't learn. Our greatest drive for change is pain, right? Pain expands my soul faster than not. When I'm not hurting, I just do my thing. My soul wants to change, grow, and get through pain. Pain drives change and transition the most. We experience discomfort because we don't want change while we're comfortable, right? I don't want to change while comfy. I want it to remain unchanged. Keeping it the same doesn't help me grow. I have contacts, etc. I appreciate everyone listening to my tale. I'm grateful for their time. There's a new book out July 16th called Infinite Life, Infinite Lessons. Wisdom from the Spirit World on Living, Dying, and the In-Between. It's great. I believe Spirit wrote it. I believe it will improve many people's spiritual understanding. My social media handle is Susan Grew Official. I want them to follow, ask questions, and grow. The Infinite Wisdom podcast, Infinite Life, Infinite Wisdom, will be available in a month.